Hello, everybody. This is Kayla with Radio K at South by Southwest. Today I'm here with
Vitesse X,
AKA.
Jordan Stern.
Yup. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I just got in on Wednesday, and I haven't been to a whole lot of shows yet, but everything I've seen so far has been super fun. And I went to this Dungeons and Dragons themed venue yesterday to see my friend Picture Plane. He was doing a set under his other project called Scythe, and it was just super vibey, and like everyone was dressed in costumes, and we had like these little tokens that we would pay for the drinks, and it was really cool. So I just was there pretty much the whole day.
Was that run like by Southwest or South by Southwest?
It was an unofficial showcase, yeah. It's a new venue actually that Travis's friend actually started and opened, yeah.
I would love to have a Dungeons and Dragons themed venue in Minneapolis. We need to write a petition for one. Have you done any shows yet at South by Southwest? I know you have one tomorrow.
I'm just doing one show here, which is the showcase that my label's throwing. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of play a show and then just be more of a listener for the rest of the week. Yeah.
And is this your first time playing at South by?
No. My first South by was in 2013. So I, with my first band, with my partner Chris, who I run the label with, we had a shoegaze project that we started in college, and so that was our first South by, and it was very different back then. It was like a lot more DIY, and yeah, everyone was just very like starry-eyed at the time, just getting their starts. It was like Mac DeMarco playing some of his earlier shows, hanging off rafters and shit, and yeah, so I've really like nostalgic memories of that time.
That's so cool and awesome to be back. What was the name of your shoegaze band?
Shoegaze band? It was called Surfing. Yeah.
Nice. And now to move. Oh wait, actually I forgot. There is one question I want to ask before we get into the other questions. So Austin has a slogan called "Keep Austin Weird." What is the weirdest thing you've seen at your time here, or even probably if you remember back in 2013? But
the weirdest thing I've seen in Austin so far. I mean, I would say last night going to that Dungeons and Dragons themed event was pretty weird, but like in the most beautiful, awesome way. Yeah.
like you don't come across something like that as often, so that's what makes it unique. Yeah. So now to move on to your music, you've created a record label for other electronic artists with your manager Chris Burden. What has the process been like creating a record label specifically focusing to highlight electronic music?
It's been interesting. It's like a constant learning experience. I think I just went into it with not too much of like an expectation of the future. My main intention starting this label was to really like have a sense of community again. I think in New York, you lose that a lot of the times. Everything is pretty individualized. Everyone's kind of grinding with their own goals in mind, and I think also with like lack of proper venue spaces for so many years in the indie scene especially, there was like a sense of community dissolving for so long. And so like I found that through the dance community eventually, but there hasn't ever really been a space for that for this kind of particular type of electronic music. So I wanted to kind of have a place to house that, and just to create a network of friends and a network of sounds where we can all kind of like share ideas and influence each other. And it's been working out really well so far.
Speaking of dance, can you tell me a little bit more about how you got into music and how like dance relates to it?
How I got into music, I would say I got into music initially. We can go all the way back to like when I was probably early in high school. I was just an athlete. I was a skier and a runner, and like I spent most of my time just going on long trips upstate for competitions, and so I like would just be listening to music in my headphones, daydreaming for hours and having really intimate experiences with like a lot of classic records and stuff. Radiohead and Rainbows was like a big game changer for me at that time. And so eventually I realized that I didn't want to do sports anymore and I just wanted to pick up a guitar and play. So I was like, that's like going way back. And then I would say when I started really playing in bands and starting to tour, that was in Virginia at James Madison University. I started to go to school down there. I'm originally from upstate New York, but I went to school down there and just there was a thriving DIY community. So I immediately just started playing house shows, and my standards for like what a live experience became pretty high because people just went crazy. It was like a mosh pit for even these like small acoustic sets. So that's where I got my start, was in the DIY scene in Virginia. And it was really inspiring to me, and so inspiring that I wanted to move my bands out to New York. And then the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Sweet. And then also to talk about your album that you have out. I know it's been a while since it's been released, but can you tell me a little bit more about the creation of, also correct me if I pronounce it wrong, but Us Ephemeral?
Us Ephemeral?
Wait.
Repeat the question one more time.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the story behind creating your album, Us?
Okay. Yeah. So I was playing in bands for many years, and then I decided to call it quits just because I had some pretty bad experiences on tour, and I don't need to get into it, but I was just kind of like, this isn't for me anymore. So I just kind of changed paths and became an audio engineer, and that was my thing. But then once the pandemic hit, I was just home all the time, and I actually had space to think on a creative level again. And so I was like, oh, might as well just try to make an album for the first time. That was like just my goal. I didn't have any other expectations. I just was like, this is something I've always wanted to do, so let's try it. And so I just started kind of vibing out in my studio. I had nothing else to do, and I ended up making a record, and then I tacked on Vitesse X as the name of the project. And looking back, it's like definitely kind of chronicling a lot of the feelings and thoughts I was having at the time. I was just like in a really introspective state, just kind of thinking about all my past experiences and like all these like beautiful fleeting moments, and how much like I realized I need to savor the present moment a lot more because it can just slip away. So that became kind of the meaning behind the record. And then I started, just like playing shows, and then this became a thing. Yeah.
No, yeah, I love your album. I feel like I would agree with you that I feel like the album makes me feel like it feels very intentional, and it makes me like just sit back and be present. Just I really love it. And then I also you have a deluxe version of some of the songs on that. Can you tell me? Because specifically, I love George Clanton. When I saw that, then I found you. Can you tell me how those remixes came to be?
Well, it was through the label that I joined initially, 100% Electronica. So I just kind of wanted to, at that time, that was like, my main tight-knit community. So I was just like, let's make a 100% remix extended album. And so it's just artists from the label that I hit up.
When did you guys decide, or like when did you create your own record label music website?
So that was just about over a year ago. It was like probably around the winter time of last year. Like I said, I think because we're New York based and 100% is LA based, we just felt that it was time to kind of start our own thing and showcase New York music. And Chris and I, we've been together for over a decade, and like I think starting a label has always been something that we've had our sights on at some point, and it just felt like perfect timing. Things were really aligning. The scene in New York has just been thriving. It just felt like the right time. Like I think it was so much based on intuition more than just like, tactfully kind of planning things out. We were just like, let's just do this.
And on the same topic about talking about the future of music website, who do you hope to collaborate with in the future or bring into your label?
So many collaborations, and I'm in talks with people right now for my next record that I won't give away yet, but I do have a lot more collaborations going on. I think because I wrote my first record in my studio by myself, super isolated, it worked for that period in time, but now that like everyone's kind of back out and I think craving that sense of community. I feel that in myself, especially. I think also I've been kind of like reevaluating what it means to be an artist and make music. And for me, like, accolades can only get you so far. Streaming numbers can only get you so far. It's like, what's beyond that and what creates like a sustainable, not just career, but like a sustainable passion. And I've kind of come to terms with like, collaboration is the key to just making it feel really fulfilling. So that's been my mentality now, is just kind of reaching out. And it's also really scary as an artist. And I'm a new artist too. So like putting your rough sketched ideas out can be intimidating and a little scary. But I've been trying to push myself to do that more. And a lot of cool things start happening.
Based off that, I have two questions. One of them being, when could we expect your new album to come out?
My new album, expect it in the fall.
Okay.
But I have singles on the way before then, yeah.
And then you just said you're a fairly newer artist. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so you're a fairly newer artist. What does it mean to you to be at South by again?
It feels like a cool full circle moment in many ways. I think I'm just having that, not just with that South by, but just with my music career in general. I put out a song actually yesterday. It's a song from 2016. It's like a shoegaze demo from 2016. And I wrote it with a former bandmate of mine. And it was just kind of like, it never had a formal release. It was just kind of like a shit post on, if I'm allowed to say that, on SoundCloud, and it never went anywhere, but it's like a beautiful track, and it like really, it like showcases this moment in time where like I didn't have any confidence in myself artistically, and like had a lot of imposter syndrome, and like wasn't putting out much art at all. And so it just kind of got locked away. And then I just had a moment where I was like flipping through my Ableton sessions from back then and my Logic files from back then, and like realized that I did have this universe that was kind of living inside of me. And so I thought like now I have this platform and I've like gained a sense of confidence in myself as an artist. So I decided to put it out finally. It's to like honor her voice in many ways. And so I'm having a lot of these moments where it's just like these pieces of the past that are now sort of like fully materializing for the first time. So yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to listen to it. What's the single called?
It's called Nouns.
Awesome. I've got one last question to you. This is a question we ask a lot of artists we come across at Radio K. This doesn't have to be music related at all, but what are 3 things that you are really enjoying right now, or could even be inspiring your music if you do want to talk about it?
3 things I'm enjoying right now?
Yeah.
In general?
Yeah.
Or
could be anything, but if you want music related, but anything.
Oh, okay. 3 things I'm enjoying right now. I would say this past year, in terms of like music I've been listening to, I'm kind of an ambient head. So I think in New York, it's a struggle, especially as someone with sensitive hearing. There's a lot of like sensory input a lot of the times. And now that I'm like going back into work a lot and like I'm on the train, I kind of turn to ambient music as my form of escape and just like a way of kind of getting back to this like state that's outside of this current reality that's like a little bit more inspiring to me and feeling of safety. So ambient music does that for me. So there's this artist in particular that I've like this one album of theirs that I listen to probably like 5 times a day. But the artist is Tareka, and that's like what I've been super into. So in terms of music, yeah, ambient.
Yeah, I'd agree with you that there's something about being on public transit and listening to ambient music and just looking out the window and just.
Yeah. Yeah. It puts you in a great state just to like
calm down.
yeah, calm your nerves and reflect. Yeah.
Anything else that's been you've been enjoying?
I would say going back to community. I think that's been a big thing for me, and like seeing, also kind of like helping to curate these connections, and with the label, that's been really special to me to see all these artists that like maybe you wouldn't necessarily piece together sonically are now all coming together and creating this whole universe. So that's been super special to me. And then I have one more thing. Okay. I would say just working on music. That's like, I've been having tunnel vision for the past few months, just trying to finish this record. And I think it's been pretty awesome to actually really find enjoyment in the process fully for the first time, because when I was starting out, I had such high standards for how things needed to sound. I think I was not enjoying the process as much as I should have, because I just wanted to hit these like milestones and like make things sound a certain way. And now I've kind of been learning how to just be more in a stream of consciousness state and use it as a form of therapy and a form of like catharsis. And so I've been having a really awesome time just sitting in my studio making music. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Well, this has been
Vitesse X
at South by Southwest with Radio K. Thank you.